Night at the Roxbury when he takes out the planner and he rips off the plastic. He's like, dude, let's do a meeting before our meeting. He's like, let me check. He's like, I'm clear. All right, guys, most professional show on YouTube, Paradigm Review Show. Smash returned. Oh man, I'm still Ross Corpy. I'll go back to Ross Draven, and then maybe I'll just be Ross O'Bar. I'll have to decide what my name's going to be. Smash episode. We're returning the graphic novel series. You guys remember when me and Mac did Fight Club 2? That's the actual sequel to the movie Fight Club by the author Chuck Palahniuk, and I also have Fight Club 3 over here, as you guys can see. Maybe I'll get to it when I feel like it. Those are hardcovers. We've talked about it forever now, the Crow Special Edition. What I would say is go back and check me and Gaz's recent reaction to the Days of Sodom trailer. We also reacted to a exclusive scene that they released on Wet Paint Pictures. Shout out to Cody Falk. We'll have some updates on, the Days of Sodom. I just go to the Crow Facebook group and join, and you can get updates on Days of Sodom. What up, Slippy? I don't know if you've read it, but I would say get yourself a hard copy, get yourself a soft copy. We're going to do an in-depth deep dive of the original Crow source material. You've also seen our Crow 1994 review, one of the most legendary films of all time, as Gaz and I were just saying off camera. And then you've seen our unfortunate reaction of when I was not able to complete it sober of the Crow 2024. We don't like talking about it here on the channel, but it is funny to see how it turned out for me. So you might want to go run that back if you missed it. And we'll include more Days of Sodom updates and things as they come. Like I said, I told you guys I've made some cameos in a couple action and horror movies this year, which will be dropping soon. Guys, do you have any updates, or do you want me to just send everybody over to @Moshinobi and have them subscribe there?
Yeah, there's things we're both working on, so we will let you know, folks, when we have something that we're going to do over there as well. But for now, yeah, let's just jump straight in, man.
Yeah, we are still working on the cryptid guest, guys. It's a big guest. I'll just say that join us for the show next week. It's going to be another Smash epic for the heisters and all the Payday fans. Yeah. Heat, the legendary film, one of the most legendary crime noir cop and robber heist movies of all time. Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, rest in peace, Val Kilmer. A lot of news dropping about Heat too. Really incredible names circling: Leonardo DiCaprio, Christian Bale, Austin Butler. I'm just going to say that I think there is a novel, I believe it is, and I believe it's written by Michael Mann. Hopefully I didn't butcher that. He's the director of Heat, which was actually a TV movie before the Hollywood studios picked it up. So I would say, don't act like it's it's kind of like you guys are with the Dune sequels. You're like, wait, what? Duncan Idaho lived? You have no idea. Dune was out in the 60s, guys, and we all knew that the character continued on. So similar thing to Heat. It's my understanding there's been a sequel out for years, and I'm sure if it's Michael Mann helming it, it's going to follow that. It's my understanding that it's actually going to jump back and forth in timelines between the original talk of Al Pacino coming back, Gaz. And again, I don't know if any of this is confirmed and it will stay. But it will go back and forth in the timeline between when the heisters were young and then them being old. So anyway, go back and watch Heat 1. I don't know if it will follow that exactly. I'm going to do Zodiac Files Lake Herman Road timeline special, December 20th. That's the with a special guest. That is the anniversary. And did we have some? Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Crip Rick was talking about coming on with the Good and Bad, and the Ugly. That's our last show for the year. Finishing the Dollars, aka Man with No Name trilogy, guys. So that's the schedule for the month. What up, Francis? I'm a huge Crow fan in general, and of course, R.I.P. to the Mr. Brandon Lee, the GOAT, the legend, the most incredible action star of all time. So me and Gaz have a lot of stuff here. I don't know if there's a point you want to jump off on, Gaz, or actually, you know what? I was just going to rip us through Wikipedia real quick, and then I'll get into something that I noticed that James O'Barr here had in the intro that I'm surprised no one has touched. So we will we'll get into that a little bit. I think it was here in the introduction, The Lonely Place. But anyway, the version I have, guys, is the special edition. And once again, we're returning to the graphic novel series, which is a series we do here on PRS. But, it's obviously you guys know us from films and TV. But you can see a shelf of graphic novels behind me. Basically, how I got into it, guys, I went on a crazy kick a few years back where I wanted to read all the graphic novels that got movie treatment, like 300, From Hell. I read all those. Watchmen, obviously The Crow, is kind of the first, at least the first anyone knows. If you want to Gazzy, I think you dropped. Hopefully you'll be able to bounce back. Okay, he's still with us. So feel free to jump in with whatever you guys got. I'm just going to rip us through Wiki, guys, just for anybody who may need some background or may not know some of the stuff. The Crow is a supernatural superhero comic book series created by James O. Barr, the legend, revolving around the titular character of the same name. The series, which was originally created by O'Barr as a means of dealing with the death of fiancé at the hands of a drunk driver. That's really all I'm going to say about that, guys. Everybody knows about it. He gets questioned about it all the time. All I know about it is what he wrote in the introduction here. So that's a personal thing to him. Everybody knows this. But you guys can go research James O'Barr and the backstory. I know you mentioned it earlier, guys. So it comes from actual trauma that James O'Barr suffered, and then he ends up being this incredible illustrator, comes up with this character as the Crow that most of you guys know from the 94 movie. But I do want to point out that this came out in 89, and he wrote, I think, his first either issue or panels in 81. So by the time Special Edition came out, which restored 30 pages, it had already been like almost three decades, 30 years of the Crow, which I don't even know we're getting there with the film now, guys. I think most people just think like 1994, that was like the first, thing. And it just wasn't, as me and guys were saying. What did I miss? But not much of a fan of the remake with the new IT Pennywise. What sucks about this, Francis, is, you can see me and Gaz's unfortunate review of this movie. And then also, our review of Boy Kills World is like, he's actually an amazing actor. It just doesn't come across in that film. It just doesn't come across in that film because it's so bad. But outside of that, he's an amazing actor. I just want to give him that, film's not good. Not going to disagree with you there. I can see Gaz is chiming in the chat there. I'll leave that to him. What up, Pixie? Yeah, I heard about Welcome to Derry, guys. And then we're going to talk Samurai. So I want to talk to you about that series you mentioned at the end here, guys. So that's that. Of his fiance, The Hands of a Drunk Driver, was first published by Caliber Comics in 89. So going back to the timeline, it became an underground success, was later adapted into a film of the same name in 94. It was followed by 3 standalone sequels and a television series. I heard that television series was not good, guys. You were telling me. A second adaptation was released in 24. Numerous books and comic books have also been produced, albeit published by various different companies. The Crow has been translated into almost a dozen languages and has sold around 750,000 copies worldwide. I'm not going to go through the 10 presses, but I'll just talk Caliber Press because that's the first one. The Crow first appeared on the back of Dead World number 10, November 88. James O'Barr provided a back cover to the first comic book Caliber Press published, which contained an advertisement for the upcoming The Crow appearance in Caliber Presents number 1. The ad shows the Crow standing with a smoking shotgun in one hand and a samurai sword in the other, aka katana, with the statement, "For some things, there is no forgiveness." It mentions the Crow appearing in Feb 89. The Crow's first in-story appearance was in Caliber Presents number 1, January 89, in the story Inertia, which serves as a prelude to the main series. O'Barr again provided a back cover for this issue. The character's first limited series was The Crow number 1 through 4, February to May 89. 4 issues titled Pain, Fear, Irony, and Despair take readers through a series of vengeance tales as the Crow cuts and shoots through Tintin, Tom Tom, Top Dollar, Fun Boy, and T-Bird, the gang members that attacked and killed him and his lover Shelley. In A Caliber Christmas, December 89, Eric reflects back on happier times with Shelley in the story Atmosphere. In the Crow graphic novel, the story is placed between issues 2 and 3. Caliber Presents 15, September 90, contained a key preview of the Crow number 5 titled Death, which was left unpublished. The preview was a story to conclude the original arc. Anything on that, Gazzy, or did you know all that stuff?
I didn't until I read it, and then I also read some of the afterwards and a bit of background to how the story was developed and some of the interviews that James O'Barr has given.
What up, Tim? How's the Cooper research going? So I skipped. Okay, so IDW is a San Diego company, guys, and they took over. You can probably see it's directly behind me, the Max and Batman, but they did a bunch of Crow stuff. What I want to talk about is July 2024, Sumerian Comics revealed during San Diego Comic-Con that they would be taking over the license to reprint stories as well as publish new stories in the universe. The first reprint announced as The Crow Dead Time number 1 through 3 to be released monthly beginning October 24. So I guess that's out as of last year. The one thing I was mentioning to guys off camera, these last 3 IDW ones, The Crow Hack and Slash 2019, The Crow Lethe 2020, as well as 2 IDW one-shot issues, The X-Files, The Crow Conspiracy 2014, and The Crow Hark the Herald 2019. Me and Gaz were both X-Files fans, so I was just kind of wondering what happened when Eric Draven meets up with Mulder, and he's like, hey, dude, do you need anybody dead? Because I'm kind of like the guy that takes care of that sort of thing. Mulder's like, I have a gun, but I don't usually like slice guys' heads off with katana blades. That's more of your thing. If anyone's read that, please tell me what happens, because me and Gaz are wondering. All right. Plot. The story revolves around an unfortunate young man named Eric. He and his fiancée, Shelley, are assaulted by a gang of street thugs after their car breaks down. Eric is shot in the head and paralyzed. He can only watch as Shelley is savagely beaten, R-worded, aka SA. We're going to dance around the subject on YouTube, guys. It's just how it is. And then shot in the head. They are then left for dead on the side of the road. Eric later dies in the hospital operating room while Shelley is dead on arrival. He is resurrected by a crow and seeks vengeance on the murderers, methodically stalking and killing them. When not on the hunt, Eric stays in the house he shared with Shelley, spending most of his time there, lost in memories of her. Her absence is torture for him. He is in emotional pain, even engaging in self-mutilation by cutting himself. The Crow acts as both a guide and a goad for Eric, giving him information that helps him in his quest, but also chastising him for dwelling on Shelley's death, seeing his pining as useless self-indulgence that distracts him from his purpose. So a lot going on there, guys, thematically. And then also, you notice the differences between the 94 story, which is obviously like they come in with the fake like housing deed when, T-Bird's gang, and they obviously execute Eric and like throw him out the window. It's a totally different scenario in this. They break down on the road. So it kind of comes full circle. Do you have any, is there any difference to you guys in the scene of what happens to Eric and Shelley in the movie versus this timeline or narrative?
It's actually a lot more brutal. It really is.
Yeah, I agree.
There's both in what it shows you and the subtle nods.
Yep.
I'll say this, spoiler alert, folks. Top Dollar is taken out actually a lot faster in the source material than he is in the movie. I'd argue T-Bird, suppose, is kind of the main villain in the source material.
Yeah, absolutely.
In a way.
Totally different gang for the most part. I mean, some same names, but different characters as well.
It's very, I'll say it like this, and I mean this as a compliment. If you've read any of the Punisher comics, which I have, I love the Punisher comics.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah, when you open a Punisher novel, it grabs you straight away. It's very direct, it's very fast, and it usually opens up with an action scene, and then you get a bit of backstory or a bit of a flashback to whatever is happening in that. How he got the mission. Yeah. But it's always subtly done, and they put it in as in droplets, and you get the whole background and saying why he's done what he's done. And this is the first time I'd read the source material. I know Ross has read it many times. It probably shows the hard copy for you all as well. But yeah, that's how it felt to me, Ross, was like a Punisher story with obviously the quest for justice, the romance angle as well, deals with loss, somebody who deeply loves somebody, and they are trying to come to terms with that. And then, of course, there's that good versus evil storyline as well. So
absolutely, yeah. I was gonna say Punisher level gunplay because he uses like the 3.57 revolver, prominently in this graphic novel. I don't think he used the 3.57 at all in the movie. And then it's like I really like the James O'Barr's close-ups of like the rounds and the chambers, like that's almost like he's like ahead of his time on that, because that's more of a type of thing you see with like the Matrix, like Wachowski brothers camera angles, and we really have never seen a Punisher movie use that. I would really like to see that used. I see Tim's got some ideas. The Crow, Punisher, Blade, Van Helsing, like the League of Gentlemen. Yeah, I mean, I would probably be really particular. The Crow, I don't know who I would stick Crow with. I mean, Marvel-wise, I would definitely do like Punisher, Ghost Rider, Cable, maybe Deadpool if you can stomach him. I don't think Gaz can.
No.
Just his combat ability.
Silent. If it could be silent, I'd be fine.
Wolverine origin Deadpool with his mouth welded shut. Like that's enough out of you, Ryan.
Actually, just having miming all the way through that.
I mean, I'd want to stick the Crow probably with like somebody indie, like V for Vendetta, or like what was his name? That Vin Diesel character, Bloodshot.
Yeah.
Maybe someone from like IDW, like Batman and the Crow. You could kind of see them going together, but yeah, or Punisher and Crow for some reason.
Did I ever tell you about? Oh man, I always love this when you forget what the point you're about to make as you're going to say. It's so wonderful. There's a character I think it's a Dark Horse character that that guy's in not the bands. Is it Man of War or something like that? That.
Yeah, I think that's the same brand as Bloodshot, right?
He was a caveman dude who was taken by extraterrestrials, taken in a far future.
That's tight. I didn't know that. That's sick. Yeah. That's sick. Yeah, that'd be. Yeah, you could really mix. I mean, that's the good thing about the Crow. Like, where does he fit in? I think really where you'd probably want to use him nowadays would be animation, because obviously Netflix is making so many animes nowadays. So I think you'd probably want to stick Crow.
Could get more. Solo. That's it. It's called. Sorry, but it's Exo Manowar, a valiant comic superhero known for his advanced alien armor. Yeah, he was a Visigoth warrior, so okay, not quite caveman then. I was a little out by a few thousand years.
Yeah, a little before that.
Yeah.
He had developed a sword at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told you it was valiant though, see? I know my shit.
That's awesome, isn't it, man?
Yeah. So obviously there's characters. I'll just skip to critical reception. Crow is ranked 37th in IGN's top 100 comic book heroes. Film 94, a film based on the comic The Crow, was released to theaters by Miramax. The film was both a critical and commercial success, earning 50 mil plus total gross on the release, a cult following in part due to the accidental death of star Brandon Lee on the film's set has maintained the film's popularity, with a regular staple of movie memorabilia being found at retailers like Hot Topic. 3 sequels have been made so far. City of Angels, 96, starring Vincent Perez as the Crow. Salvation, 2000, starring Eric Mabius. The Crow, Wicked Prayer, 05, starring Edward Furlong. In the late 1990s, a sequel reboot to The Crow titled The Crow 2037, there it is, guys, was in the works and would have been set in the future. It was written and scheduled to be directed by Rob Zombie, but it was ultimately canceled. Dude, every time...
Been Blade Runner.
Oh, dude, Gaz did it, dude. I was saying that to you earlier. Rick Deckard, they both have the horse dream. The horse dream. The Crow is a replicant. He's a Nexus 8. You know what I mean? There it is, guys. This is what I'm always saying to you. It's like the reason all of you guys hate Rob Zombie is because he's stuck in horror. I'm telling you, once he gets that next genre, you guys are going to love him. And a futuristic cyberpunk Rob Zombie would have been absolutely nuts. I don't care what anybody says. He would have been
agreed.
Robert Rodriguez or like John Carpenter, and you can't always get those guys nowadays. I think Rob is like slightly more accessible. But dude, that's the problem. Every time he gets grouchier, he was going to do the hockey movie, Philadelphia Flyers, guys. You and Lauren would have loved that. But Broad Street Bullies, but it always falls through. Every time Rob wants to do something else, it always falls through. It's obnoxious. Rob, who do I have to pay to get you? All right. So anyway, what was that? 37, ultimately canceled. A second film adaptation of the 89 comic series directed by Rupert Sanders and starring Bill Skarsgård's Eric was released on 23 in Lionsgate. So that's based on the 89 original comic series. there's absolutely nothing in that movie that was in this graphic, other than the horse dream. There's absolutely nothing in that movie that was in there. That was their way of like, hey, James O'Barr drew a horse one time. Just random scene in the movie. It's like, all right, yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, I can almost watch this movie.
A cameo of the skeleton cowboy at the end. Oh, we forgot to add him in as well. He wasn't the original, so we put him
now in. That we have the budget, now that we actually have the budget to make him lookable, it's like the skeleton cowboy's Ghost Rider. It's Ghost Rider kills the Crow universe, and then he comes in to kill everybody at the end of that movie. Because like, no, don't watch this. Like, hey, you guys didn't use me in the first one. Don't watch this film. a television series, The Crow Stairway to Heaven, aired in syndication in 98, running for one season, an adaptation of the original comic series that started Mark Dacascos as Draven. Did you say that was okay, guys? Or
I've only seen it once.
Mark was good, but the rest was fun.
Yeah. But I'll say this: it was better than the P-make. The only other decent Crow movie, as we mentioned when we reviewed the OG, was City of Angels. City of Angels isn't that bad. Yeah,
the set production was really incredible, and Vincent Perez wasn't that. It wasn't necessarily his fault. It was just kind of the directing and the story that hurt it. But
that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Well, the other thing I always bring up is like the hip hop version. Like they had DMX at one point, when he was making movies, and it could have been like a '90s, like he's from Yonkers. I think it could have worked. Because that's actually a lot closer to this with the '80s, Detroit street crime showing New York, and that if X did it there. Anyway, rest in peace to X, the GOAT. Yeah, me and Gaz are Dacascos fanboys, so there's really not much to say about that. I mean, you guys saw him in John Wick. Was that 3?
Crime Freeman, check that movie out, folks. Something we could maybe cover. Mark Dacascos. That's a good movie.
Absolute legend. Video games. I think me and Gaz covered this, and you said it was Gaz. The Crow City of Angels is a '97 action game for Saturn, Gay Station, and Microsoft Butt-Dose. It loosely based on the film of the same name. The player assumes the role of Ash Corvin and has received negative reviews. No surprise there. So I am going to cover this guy's music. I found this out. See, I think at least we have 2 fans to support this Slipknot, so there's always AI. or 3 if Gaz is on board with us. X is
journey back to a time when hip hop was real.
Ross is going to magically whisk you away to forget everything you know about trap and you know what I mean. And mumble rap, back when MCs could like write a verse and perform it without a double. You know what I mean?
My God, there's a bar.
He just coupled 2 or 3 bars together, dude. This guy's like a super MC. So I found out about this, guys. I was just listening to it before it became live. Fear and Bullets 1994 is an album created through collaboration between James O'Barr and longtime friend John Bergen as a soundtrack of O'Barr's graphic novel The Crow. It was originally released in '94 along with a limited edition hardcover copy of the graphic novel. It's on YouTube and some of Spotify. I think it's Trust Obey is the guy's artist name. Really sick, really throwback to that time, grimy kind of rock, grungy, type stuff. The Crow, go give it to you.
Yeah, for real, no doubt.
So check out Fear and Bullets. I also have a way of how to incorporate that with this together. Me and Gaz will get our alternate theories at the end here. I guess there's a card game, an out-of-print collectible card game by Heartbreaker. Target Games is based on the comics by O'Barr and depicted images from the film adaptation. I didn't know about that one. So check that out. Looks like there's some couple short stories that are out there and some novels. I don't believe O'Barr wrote any of the novels, but I think The Crow Hellbound, A.A. Atanasio, I believe that guy is like a friend of James O'Barr. So you can see all the references in the book. Like he's friends with a lot of authors and poets, and he's friends with all these different people. So they all kind of influence him. So
it's definitely got the novel definitely has those dark poetry sections, which helps build up the feeling of loss, the quest for vengeance, the quest for justice. And they're really nicely done. It gets you thinking as well, and it really, I think it puts you in the mindset of Eric.
100%, or if not, at least that I agree with, and then also James O'Barr while he was writing it. Kind of, what I thought of. It's it's hard not to get stuck in the both of them when you're reading it because he obviously drew this incredible stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, where was I going with that? Yeah, so we broke it down quite a bit for you guys. Now we'll get into the actual content. So, what I was going to say. Okay, so it's, as Gaz was saying, it's definitely a romance story about Eric and Shelley. O'Barr got Shelley's name from Mary Shelley Frankenstein, by the way. And I think he said where he got Eric's name too, but that one slipped my mind. It was something else like that. Not Frankenstein, but some.
Quick spoiler alert. Sorry about this, folks. Was your favorite reveal in the source material about Gabriel a cat when you discover at the end that Gabriel is in fact a she?
The comedic that James O'Barr is able to insert in the dialogue in this thing where an undead guy's girlfriend gets killed and he comes back and blows the head off of like 50 gang members in the most like gratuitously violent way possible. Like there are a couple jokes in there that you're just like, and he needs it to break up the. So what? And Eric came from the Phantom of the Opera, so both names are from literature. What Gaz was saying is, it is romance. It is Eric and Shelley's story. And there definitely is like that relationship, the fiance, and the love story and the romance story. It's absolutely in there, and it's juxtaposed with one of the most violent vigilante stories you've ever seen. So we'll break that down for you guys, like Gaz was saying. So you basically have these extreme moments where Eric is unleashing justice on the gang that killed them, and then he's like hanging out in the old place where he used to live with Shelley. So he's like having those memories of her and flashbacks of their love life and their relationship. So it's actually a really good balance, I think, Gaz. Because if it's just like Eric killing for no reason, like it has to be his love for her that's driving him.
Yeah, well, it's like we're saying it's giving the readers the reason why he's doing this, why he's getting A to 100%. B, and also showing you that sense of deep love coupled with tragic loss.
Yeah, 100%. All right, so there's something I want to talk about. Two things. I'll see if I can find this thing. One thing I'm amazed of, and a major difference between this and the movie, is the movie has this dramatic resurrection scene of Eric digging, pushing his way out of the coffin and digging his way out of the grave with no shirt on. And when you got a fit man like Brandon Lee, you obviously want to get that in there for the female audience, right? But the way this starts, as me and Gaz were saying, is he's already walking the streets, getting popping. You know what I mean? So it's Gaz was saying, much like a Punisher thing. He's right on the first gang member as soon as he sees him. It's a much different pace. And another thing, whenever I read this, guys, of course, as we'll show you guys some panels and just give you guys, some samples and stuff like that. I'm surprised that there's no like black and white scenes in the movie, guys. Like the way I would have did it was, and also the chapter titles, like he has each, much like, obviously Gaz and I just covered Sisu, The Road to Revenge. Go check that out. But like Sisu does chapters. I know you don't love him, Gaz, but Tarantino does chapters. So the way he has irony and pain and despair and all that stuff is, I think you could have definitely, if not a remake, and Gaz and I are going to talk about how to get around that, using those chapter titles in some project. And how I would have did it, Gaz, is I would have had the first scene be black and white, or pull it out to a panel with the chapter title, because the movie doesn't have any of that. So
it would work for The Crow. I mean, the scenes flying around in my head now from the OG movie. I mean, for example, the famous scene with Brandon on the guitar. So I'm going to try and avoid mentioning the score or start fanboying. But you could have had that with that scene, chapter title above it, fading from black and white to color, however you want to do it, to show that transition. Particularly if you want to demonstrate darker side of emotions as well. So like, when he takes out Top Dollar, obviously Funboy in the source material. After that, you could show some darker color strands as well, even in color, to visualize that. So I think in this instance that would work, because it really fits in with the story and the character.
I'd hate to bring him up because you guys just be like, Ross is a ridiculous fanboy, but Robert Rodriguez, I mean, he directed Sin City 1 and Sin City 2, and he had the black and white panel. He had panels and he had the black and white. So if I mentioned it earlier, if you had a guy like that for The Crow, and since Gaz did that when Top Dollar falls off the church and he falls on the gargoyle with the horns through his chest with the blood pouring down. Imagine that going from color to black and white with black blood, like the old, the old gothic movies. That would absolutely be insane. So I'm trying to find it. I don't know if I'll be able to find the exact text that James O'Barr wrote. Then we'll kind of, break down plot for you guys. Is when he was talking about, I might be able to find it. So he's talking about a note on making of this book on the inner sleeves of the credits of the first. Wait, is that it? No, that's just a quote that he took from somebody else. But he was basically talking about how he created. I don't know if you saw this, guys. Horses, trains, bullets, and bathtubs. He was talking about how they used to print comics and the actual structure of how many pages he would turn in. Well, I'll just read this part because it kind of answers the thing about Shelley and the girl about his fiance, and then I'll try to get to the point that I've been struggling through the past 15 minutes. Things gone before. There's been an endless gossip about what actually happened to the girl who was Shelley. I'd like to set the record straight once and for all. It all comes down to this. I was a careless teenager who hadn't paid his car insurance. The local cops knew my car on site, so I phoned the girl who was Shelley and said, "Sweetie, why don't you pick me up? I really can't afford another ticket right now." It was one of those defining moments when your life suddenly turns sideways for no goddamn good reason, a series of choices that trip and fall like dominoes, ending in irreversible consequences. On her way to her car to pick me up, she was run down by a drunk driver, killed on the spot. But in my mind, in some sort of distorted monkey logic, I was responsible. And then he expounds a little bit on that. So that's what he says in the foreword about it. Then he goes to Shelley came from Frankenstein and Eric came from Phantom of the Opera. There's a part that he talks about things that he was basically, maybe it's an introduction. He was talking about things that he was basically trying to get done. So as I was describing in this special edition, 30 pages returned that were either like lost or he only had like photocopies of because he sold off originals or lost them. So he had to actually recreate those guys from like looking at old stuff, which is insane. I mean, you just don't think about that with the Crow and James O'Barr, right? And one thing that he was talking about, which, I have a couple ideas of how me and Gaz can flesh this out for him, is an absolutely crazy scene. Well, I think he was talking about it for the last fight of having that. So again, me and Gaz are going to go back to explaining the differences of the movie. In the movie, you have that big fight where Crow goes to get what's his name, and he's hiding under the table.
Oh,
and he's like, I want him. Top Dollar says you can't have him. And so that big shootout that actually happens multiple times in a book because there's a couple times where the gangs open up on Eric where he just takes the damage and they're like, oh, he's not going down. Da da da. They kind of do a big epic fight in the movie. He grabs the sword out of the vault and he starts slicing guys. Brandon Lee. But that kind of visual happens, I think, 2 or 3 times in here, guys. You saw the big fights when they were just unloading on him. So what O'Barr was saying was he either didn't have the tech at the time or, maybe the skill as an illustrator, but he wanted to have a massive final ending fight that was reflecting in a puddle of blood that was growing bigger as the fight was going on. And I was just like, oh my God, that is such a sick idea. I can't believe they didn't do that in the movie, but I assume the only reason was the camera tech and computer editing still wasn't that good back when they did the original Crow movie. Yeah. So I have some ideas on how that could be done.
Yeah, you have, and you know what, man, you've got me fanboying because what's flying around in my head now. We can talk a little bit about this later. If there was possible darker animated series, as you were alluding to on Netflix. It's got me thinking, well, they kind of did. Remember the HBO animated series of Spawn, which actually isn't that bad. It's pretty good. It's a lot better than the movie.
Keith David's voice.
Yeah, and that was pretty sick. So yeah, that was flying around my head because, folks, in the source material in the novel that we're discussing, there's the scene where the Crow takes out Top Dollar. That happens fairly early on, and there's another 2 or 3 big fights after that, isn't there?
Yes, exactly.
With Finboy that are just as epic, even if not more so. Actually, probably especially 2. and one where it really does play into the supernatural element, which is the last fight before the car chase. The way they show you the car chase in the movies, quite different to the book.
Yep. Yeah, so if you guys want a little bit more insight on that, if you guys get around to reading this special edition, the new pages of Eric and Albrecht in the pawn shop are a good example of where the original art had to be deleted. To add that, the original pages have long since been given away, sold, or just plain lost, so I recreated them from faded photocopies. Like, when I heard him, like, bro, my respect from him just shot through the roof, because I was like, dude, you actually went through old crap and like were able to redraw it and fit it in so it doesn't look like, oh, this is some crap he drew 20 years later and it doesn't go together. You know, like that probably never occurred to you guys if you were reading the same edition as mine. Like it all flowed smooth, you know. Like,
you know what's sad? I feel this kind of story would only probably get past now in the indie comics. I couldn't see that being in one of the yeah, exactly, in one of the major ones now, because of it being too non-PG, isn't it? For them. Yeah.
I mean, and that's kind of James O'Barr's thing, right? It kind of, you know, you can even see from what I said about those early promos when people saw him with the shotgun and the sword and like no forgiveness, they knew he was going to do something crazy probably before even issue 1 dropped. You know, like, who the hell's that guy, the Crow? And then you find out he's this dead. Yeah. You know, one thing with conversation we could have, he's obviously not a musician in this. Like, it didn't really say what Eric did other than being like a handyman. So I don't know if he was some sort of like, you know, carpenter or something.
But he does appear as a bit of a mix of kind of a punk guy with a bit of a metal edge as well. Like he is a mix of those two, and they definitely he represents kind of that Phantom of the Opera persona as well, as we saw in the film with the makeup, the way he's just even more so in the book. And there's loads of nods to that kind of music as well throughout there. Joy Division, for example, many more.
He's got like him and her both have like the 80s haircuts, which like that's you know, now that like Stranger Things and 80s, you know, Lauren Lepre always talks about this, you know, the 80s 90s themes in horror movies now, like a la Terrifier 1, where it would kind of be cool to see someone go back, give it the 80s soundtrack, give them the 80s fashion, and just kind of get away from that thing that the remake did, you know. Not that I want to see this same story remade forever, but I mean, as Gaz said, Netflix animation. What I was going to propose is a motion comic. You remember what a motion comic is, Gaz? There's like those Watchmen ones on YouTube. There's also a Riddick one. So that's a way of using James O'Barr's actual animation, adding some AI movement to it, you know, add the voices, add the soundtrack that him and his friend made. Now you're combining all the elements together and experiencing it as, you know, sound effects, the gunshots, the, you know, kind of all that kind of stuff. You know, either the motion comic or, you know, as Gaz was talking about animation, when Sam Keith did the Max on MTV Oddities, the first like 10 episodes pretty much follow the exact panels of the first 20 comics, Gaz. Now, I don't know how, obviously Sam Keith was involved as director. I don't know how they were able to do that back then because it was mid-90s, but I assume they somehow digitized his panels, you know what I mean? Which is like, you know, that's, you know, you could, as he was saying, he was, you know, having trouble with some of the transitions he was working on. Well, nowadays with AI, you know, motion comic, you could probably digitize. What you would do is like, hey, James O'Barr, can you come on board as a producer? You don't really have to do anything, but just tell us ideas or unfinished ideas. We'll try to implement them and then show you. You just sign off on it as executive producer. But the work's already done. He doesn't really have to do much other than say, like, this is right. That's not, you know what I mean? Just point you in the right direction.
Yeah, so you could even tag on, we're going to hire you. Stop us from butchering your IP. So you're there. I mean, you know, you're always waiting for a company to say that. Doesn't,
yeah, right. If the guy who wrote it, maybe, I think he might have an idea how to do it correctly. There were other sequences planned, drawn, and ultimately discarded because 20 years ago, with my limited visual vocabulary, I was just unable to pull them off. One lost sequence was to take place during the final gunfight, was having all the choreographed action reflected in an expanding pool of blood as it crept across the pavement. Everyone who saw those initial pages kept turning them upside down, though, so obviously it was not working. I still think it's a great visual, but to this day, I'm not sure how to make it work in a comic format. It's probably better suited for film. Me being the nerd I am, I'm going to fix it for James O'Barr. You guys will probably be pretty surprised that the guy who sold 800,000 copies is going to want to hear my idea. But for one, you could fix it. You could fix it with the motion comic. Undeniably, you could fix it with the animation, like Gaz said. You saw Renaissance, Gaz, Daniel Craig, that futuristic cyberpunk. That was black and white. I don't know who directed that. The guy who did Appleseed, I have his autograph behind me. That director could do it. The Renaissance guy could do it. I mean, I think that's I'm surprised that Alex Proyas didn't try to get that in the film. What up, Jay? We got heat next week for you, my heister.
I think, and I'm not 100 on this, there is a series, it's kind of a what ifs, and it's quite good, and it's, and I'm sure it's kind of it must be what you said, Ross, because the way the panels show the characters moving, it must be in that
like a motion comic. Yeah, I know there's a Watchmen one. There's a couple big ones out there.
Sorry, not Predator, Batman. It's just, and it's showing you how would Batman take down a Predator? How would Batman take down Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th? How would he take Freddy from Elms? All these different weakness, and they're actually pretty good because it's not all action. It has him strategizing, coming up with his plans. I mean, I think the way he takes out Jason, spoiler alert, folks, he puts him in this kind of vault and drops him literally the bottom of the ocean. Like, I can't take this guy out. I
think you told me about that, or someone told me about that.
Yeah, they're well worth a watch, folks. They're pretty sick. So I think I definitely would wear Ross.
Yeah, so, anyway, I'm totally enamored in that explanation and just the fact that, obviously, if Alex Proyas didn't try it, it's because they didn't have the tech in 94. Now, I would expect them to try to use that in the new Crow movie, Gaz, to be like, okay, here's the big idea that James O'Barr has that's not in the graphic novel that even he himself said we could do in film. I do have, other than animation and motion comic, Gaz mentioned animation, I mentioned motion comic. I do have one other idea because the video game sucks. Obviously, you have way better, gaming companies now. Yeah. So a grimy third-person Crow shooter a la Max Payne, a la, what's that other game called? Where you play where you're the cop and a dead... I forget what that one's called, but it's like another third-person shooter game.
Horizon.
No, it's a lot like Max Payne. You have a dog, and he can go take the guys down and bring you their gun. I'll have to go look it up. I forgot the name of it, but it's very sick. Another third-person like action shooter. So I'm thinking about that. Now imagine this, guys. You're playing a Crow, grimy, animated, hard R, bloody, whatever first person or third person action shooter. I mean, I think third person would make better sense for this. You go through the whole fight, and then it shows you a cutscene of the fight in that expanding blood puddle, like James O'Barr was saying, so it reflects on the, what I mean? How nuts would that be? I mean, it'd be one thing to watch it, but to play it yourself and then have them show it to you in a clean, crispy cutscene, I think that would be a way you could pull it off as well. I mean, he obviously mentioned film, which makes sense, but you want the right director unless you have like a sick animator, you know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, and on the gaming point, I mean, you could bring in the RPG elements, level up his skills, have a dark supernatural forces like his nemesis, right? Who are you to kind of correct our dark side of things, if you like? So yeah, that could be another extra angle on it for sure.
100%. So I was just like
the original game.
Oh my god! And it can't be any worse than that last remake. So I'm guessing the original game's probably better than that. So I was, once he said that idea, I was like, damn, okay, this is the one thing that even James O'Barr couldn't pull off. I'm like, let me, brainstorm on it. So obviously, get you guys in there. In memory of Brandon Lee, the GOAT, and then the first chapter is like lament, pain, and fear. So he's kind of this ripped, shirtless, kind of 80s punk haircut kind of guy, as Gaz said. But then it kind of goes straight to like inertia. This is one of the bads. He pops up on him. So these guys are all rockheads. They're all drug addicts, guys. And as Gaz said, Crow rolls up on him and gets it popping. It's, did you say which dude this is? Oh, he's calling him...
It's Jones, isn't it?
Mr. Jones, yeah. Let's see. How does he... Oh, so he's telling him... The Crow's telling him, like, the last dude he chopped, like, fingers off to get like Jones's location, and like he's just like this Crow is way more brutal. He's like all about the mutilation guys, and then also I would say like much more bipolar, because although like Brandon Lee kind of had that like campy like comedic joking effect, like this Crow does do that, but then he also does like long biblical monologues where he's just like tearing the room apart. So he's like he's more vicious, I would say, than what you got in the 94.
Man, that's
I got you.
Shot.
I got you, man. So it's a bit like that problem that happened on Rust with Alec Baldwin. The armorer was gone for the day. Well, I mean, if you just want to talk about deaths on the Crow, it's not just Brandon Lee, guys. Unfortunately, I think a van blew up and killed some techs as well. They were shooting in North Carolina during the winter, and it was just like not a very safe set, to just be honest with you. So the armorer was gone the day they tried to do that scene with Fun Boy, and it was like a backup person. And what happened was the projectile got lodged in the barrel when they tried to shoot it the first time. So then they tried to rearm it and then tried to try it a second time. And then unfortunately those projectiles came out. So I've researched it a lot. I used to think it was like some kind of conspiracy, obviously, like what happened to Brandon, but like it seems like that one was just like bad set protocol, to be honest with you. So it could be anything, but they have a clear description of like, it was the backup armorer. It wasn't the right person. They didn't really know what they were doing. It seems more like a technical issue than anything.
Yeah, I think it's following on as well, conspiracy theory behind it, because it's always reported like this is not my opinion.
Triads against Bruce.
Yeah, and just from what I've read, I've heard. So again, not my opinion, folks. But there was a rumor, with his dad, with Bruce, that some of the supposedly Eastern Masters were unhappy with him giving too many secrets away.
Yeah.
And then again, they'll link that with sadly what happened to Brandon was this, as you've just said there. So
on set, yeah. Okay, Bruce being the most in shape man that I've ever seen, dying of a heart attack from that medicine crap, like that's a little bit more mysterious than like Brandon being on set and then messing up the technical glitches. But there's statements from Seagal and every action star, like the gun should have been, I forget what they call it when it's like plugged like that, guys. So no actual projectiles can come out of the barrel. So I mean, every action star was pissed off about that, guys. From Seagal to Van Damme to anybody who does firearm movies or any of that thing. So just to give you guys an idea, as Gaz said, it's like some of the poetry and it's kind of a profile of Eric.
Just going to say real quick, Ross, jump in again. That's just me stating what I've heard and read. I'm not saying it's not my opinion. I'm just saying that's why some people could ask that or bring up this possible theory.
I'm not sure how old he was. We could make that happen. So me and Gaz were like discussing this. There's this horse scene where Eric is on a train. He watches this sort of like beautiful white horse get, tangled in the barbed wire, essentially expire. I was trying to remember in the P-make, aka remake, like why that happened in the beginning of the movie, because I was just like, this is so random, but I had totally forgotten James O'Barr. It might have even been one of the recovered sequences that he added back in. So, again, works really well in the graphic novel, not so much in the P-make, to my opinion. Right. Chapter 1's Pain. I really like his grimy Detroit backdrops, just kind of grimy tenement buildings, and just kind of sets we come up later on to Gideon's pawn shop and stuff like that, so it gets crazy. The street thugs are really like crazy guys in this. They're just like complete out of control drug addicts, so I'll let that be what it is, guys. And guys, if you haven't read it, you got to read it for yourself to really see the types of things that these scumbags are doing.
People aspire to be.
But as Gaz said, Eric gets on them right away, and it's absolutely brutal kills, guys. Headshots. He's talking crap to him. He's got the vigilante one-liners, all that. So it's a lot of cool stuff. The other thing Gaz and I were talking about is the Skeleton Cowboy, aka the Skull Cowboy. He was Michael Berryman of Devil's Rejects fame. His scenes weren't used in the movie, but obviously the character does appear in this. And then also the Crow talks to Eric, as Gaz and I were saying in this. Go ahead, Gaz.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, the crow is more of a spirit in the novel.
Yeah.
Only Eric sees it, other than isn't it T-Bird or Funboy? I think who sees the crow at the end.
Yeah, someone else does
Yeah,
see it.
T-Bird, yeah, at the end sees it, and the crow speaks to Eric, and yeah, that's been obviously done for the audience to show you obviously what's happening, but it works. I liked it.
That would be a cool element. Like you mentioned the Spawn animation, and Spawn has that kind of like mentor guy that's like in the trench coat, like in a hat, and he's kind of similar look to the Skull Cowboy actually.
Yeah, very.
I think that would work really good in the animation of having Eric talking to the crow. And what would work really good for the fight choreography is, he's talking crap to the bad guys, talking to the crow, but then like no one else can see it. So it's almost like Fight Club. Like it just looks like he's like talking to no one, and then they could like flick back to the scenes of like the crow on his shoulder or whatever. That'd be sick. Just throwing that in there. But yeah, it's just like a lot of some of that imagery you guys are familiar with from the movie. To also shout out Cody, I know for Days of Sodom they tried to recreate some of the original James O'Barr panels, so we'll see what they come up with in there. That should be really cool, especially for the fight scenes. I really like this one, guys. This is like the gang, top dollar in the gang, and they got all kind of the drugs and weapons on the table. Pretty badass. So I kind of somewhat agree, Jay. The thing about obviously we've talked about Paul before, it was obviously his brother that they used to do that sequence with Paul's face. To finish the crow, it's actually Chad Stileski, who's a legendary stuntman. If you look up his resume, you'll see the most insane resume of all time. But not only was he legendary for stunts in the 90s, he's also the director of the John Wick franchise. So to say a successful guy doesn't even amount that guy's career.
Yeah, I think for martial arts fans as well, it was a known movie for them because obviously it's Bruce Lee's son, and The Crow follows on from Rapid Fire, which is a good movie, and of course, as I mentioned, Showdown and Little Tokyo with Dolph before that. So I think for the martial arts community, it was certainly big. For the wider audience, as Jay's saying, that's possible. It maybe did garner more attention because of the tragedy.
Absolutely. Look, I had a couple more panels. Eric on the brick.
That was a good start. That was awesome.
He did do something like that in the movie when he was outside Fun Boys, so they kind of used a little bit of that. Now Brandon does say some of the dialogue in here, like stop me if you heard this one, like Jesus walks into it, like the Jesus joke or whatever. But he has way more lines than this, like me and Gaz were saying. Dude. Like he really goes in on people. We'll try to show you guys some of the kills and some of the weapon sequences. But
one of the most epic references, I've got to say this, folks, he references Seven Samurai. He actually references it. Just
you remember, I've been talking about that for a lot. He's talking to Gabriel. He's like, "Have you ever seen?" He got the katana from Gideon's pawn shop, and he was like, "Have you ever seen Seven Samurai?" Now, in my mind, I had thought that he said like Seven Samurai, something about Kurosawa. I just forgot he didn't mention Kurosawa, but he did say Seven Samurai, as Gaz was saying. This is just crazy, guys. Look at this, the kill. Yeah, that is nuts. He's like, he's about to blow his head off. Yeah. Like he's crouched on the table. Now, Brandon did do that in the movie in the big fight, but like you said, he does it a few times in this. Do you remember? Look close, Top. It's a man and a girl. So when he goes, Top tried to pay him off with the money and the key of drugs. He's like a much more grimier, street level looking dude in this. But how the conversation between Eric reminding him that like it was me and Shelley, and most of them either don't pick it up or pick it up like right before he dispatches them. Similar to the movie, but look, pal, I don't know what this is all about, but if I done you wrong, I'll square it up. There's $5,000 in the dresser over there. Take it and go. We'll forget about all this. Man, take the dope too. There's almost half a key left, worth $10K easy. Eric, you would barter your life with chemicals, and he holds up like the coke to him. You're an idiot, so they're just like amazed that they can't pay off this dude with money and drugs, which is what they're used to in the streets, and Eric is obviously this invincible spirit of vengeance, as Gaz was saying. Apparently, it was a '71 Plymouth. Was the car, is what Eric says. So there's a bit more conversation. And then I'll show you guys Top's panel there. I think you can get the idea. Whenever there's boom or clack, 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 it means Eric just washed a room of bad guys.
Did you notice this as well? I think Sherry, the little girl in the movie, in the source material, when Eric meets her in the book, and this is just how I read it, Ross, so correct me if I've got this messed up. But in the book, Sherry doesn't know Eric and didn't know Shelley. But in the film, she seems to have known them. I did notice that difference.
In the film, Shelley babysat her, I think, something like that, because her mom's never around. So I think Eric and Shelley babysat her in the film. Yeah, and this one, she's just like a girl from the neighborhood, but her mom is still that addict. So, but Eric kind of he handles it in a similar moment that he handles it.
That's a cool scene as well.
So some of the romance, the anti-architect dreams. I mean, I just like the way, the way O'Barr like uses anti-architect dreams, and then there's there's actual puzzles that puzzle pieces. Like there's a lot of creative side things that he kind of throws in there that are just are random. So there's some romance stuff here. Here's a concave scream. Here's that one scene when he's coming down the hallway, guys, and all the cats in the building follow him, and then when he walks out, he has Gabriel on his back. I wish he would have had Gabriel on his back in the movie. That is a ridiculous frame, like a concave scream. Obviously, if you see a ripped guy in a trench coat with this face paint walking down your street, just get clear, because your neighborhood's about to explode.
There's another humorous moment, Ross, remember when the lady's talking to the cop, and she describes him. Yeah. And they're all like, okay, and she mentions that he's walking down the corridor with loads of cats, and she says he just turns to her and says,
he nodded to me and said, excuse me, ma'am. And the cops are doing an investigation. They're like, there's a bloodbath upstairs, and you mean to say, I mean, just some more of he switches up the text in a lot of frames, so a lot of cool, like the font, in other words, which is cool. Try to get you guys some more action. So, book 2, Fear, and of course our boy, the Skeleton Cowboy. And one point Gaz and I were talking about off air was the Skeleton Cowboy. They obviously shot the scenes and didn't use them in the movie, but I was talking about how Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze in the Ghost Rider movie, Nick Cage, he had that former, the pre-Ghost Rider, former Ghost Rider before him, which was obviously a cowboy dude from the 1700s, 1800s, and he was obviously on a horse. Johnny Blaze was obviously on his motorcycle, but they were both Ghost Riders. I was telling Gaz, that would have been a sick way to have Eric communicate with the spirit of the crows and maybe even interact with the crow before him. You know what I mean? So it could be I think it would be a cool concept if each crow chose the next crow. You know what I mean? I was wronged, I got my get back, and then I, as the crow, I watched this crime occur, and I'm like, no, not gonna fly with me. And then you resurrect that guy, and obviously you get Eric Draven.
Yeah, that'd be quite a sick idea, actually. That they, as you say, select the next crow, and they play their part in helping them find justice as well.
Yep, hell yeah. It was when he was working out and he was doing some ballet and dancing around with Gabriel. Gabriel, have you ever seen Seven Samurai?
Yeah,
I mean, it needs to get mentioned by me and Gaz, because we're Kurosawa guys.
But what happens after that, folks? So there's a pretty good fight after that with the crow using a katana, and there's other big fights that happen that Ross has mentioned earlier. There's an awesome one which Russell will get to, where it plays him to the crow's supernatural elements, where he's literally appearing in and out of the shadows, taking all those guys out. Ross, that was sick.
You know what would have been sick for that fight? Either the puddle concept that O'Barr was talking about, or how in the movie the director Alex Proyas, he cut back and forth between Eric's perspective and the crow, flying above watching him. So that would be a sick type of scene to have him going in and out of the shadows, and then maybe the crow watching from different angles, or aerial. That would have been crazy,
Could I share an absolute random crazy fanboy idea that's floating around my head, which probably wouldn't work, but just for seeing
if you say Toxic Avenger, I'm going to go crazy on you.
Well, we could add Toxic in. Okay, so we'll add Toxic in. So you got Toxie, Tony Montana. Got to wait a minute. I know it's Tony Montana. So got to have his famous.
I'm a Scarface fanboy, so you're going along my alley.
And Boondock Saints all together. Could you imagine that? Just the entrance screen. Tony Montana has to do the opening line though.
Oh my gosh,
that would be so
I
sick.
I saw Al Pacino speak before. I might have tucked it into the shelf, but I used to have the program, and there was like some, like, it was like a multi-level theater. So there was like a young kid that was coming up to ask Al Pacino a question, and like nobody could see him because the kid was up so high, and everyone was like, Al, there's like a little boy down there, and like I got Al's attention. I was like, yo, Al, there's a kid up here, and then he was like, so they gave the kid the question, and he's like, everybody already asked my questions. He's like, can you just say hello to my little friend? Yeah. And Al did it for me. Yeah. So fun side note.
It's got to happen, man. Monkey could go fly on his cloud, hit Jason with his staff, and Jason's literally just stood there. Once.
I mean, you did Boondocks and Toxie. I think I like my Boondocks and Crow better than what you did with your Scarface shared universe.
I'm in fantasy land getting there.
I mean, the comics, there's a lot of crossovers in the comics. I mean, Predator and Archie crossed over. Obviously, the Crow is in the X-Files, so I don't see it. But, like, honestly, I think Crow would smoke Jason Voorhees. I mean, they're both, like, immortal, so to speak, but Crow is going to hit him with everything but the kitchen table, He's going to come with 1,000 guns. He's going to slice his head off with a katana. He's going to blow him up, light him on fire.
So I'm going to ruin some legendary. We'll get back on topic, folks. Don't worry. So I'm good.
Let me feel like it.
I need to behave myself in a moment, but right. So revisit it for a few dollars more. It's Clint versus the Crow at the end. It's just like Eric could be like something. Yeah, that didn't work. You're gonna do that.
Nowadays with AI, if you just took like few dollars Clint or like Yo Kimbo, and then like Eric Draven just shows up like it's okay, Toshiro Mifune or like Sanjuro, whatever his name is in the movie, and then he's just like it's just like Toshiro Mifune and the Crow fighting back to back like katana blade. All right, you guys went crazy with the crossovers. All right, so anyway, he talks about Seven Samurai, and then he comes out with the katana and starts dusting people. But obviously, I want to show my favorite panel. Oh, I have something else here, too. My theory is that Trent Reznor read this when he was prepping for the film, because it says Dead Souls here, and the Nin song on the soundtrack is called Dead Souls, and I don't think there's any other Dead Souls reference in the movie. Yeah. So I have to say he probably pulled it from James O'Barr.
Yeah, good call, definitely. Too much of a
man, I'm in and out of Cooper. Me and Nikki B are talking about doing some Cooper stuff for you guys. There's obviously the Martin McNally film, American Skyjacker documentary that's out now. That's a prominent skyjacking. I think I want to say he got more money than Cooper did, if I'm not mistaken. So Gaz is a big sword play guy. So you will see Eric take a katana and then slice this guy's feet out of his boots and dump the bodies in a pile there, and then pretty soon this guy's talking about like how cold he's getting. Thunk! Oh, he throws the katana in the ceiling. Yes, I missed that. This Crow is way more insane than the movie. I'm sorry, guys.
Even the opening of that with the two villains talking to each other, and if I say the line, it'll spoil too much, but it just sets the whole thing off. It's so good.
Now, I'll give him a little more dialogue. Tom, a year ago, you helped kill a man and a woman. There was no money, but you took a ring she had on. Do you remember? A ring? Yeah, a man and a woman. He's basically like bleeding out, dying while Eric's interrogating him. You're him, aren't you? I am. So he notices, but I saw you die. As you see your own death before you now. That's his response to that. T-Bird was on top of her. She was screaming, crying. I wanted to shut her up. I kicked her. She screamed and screamed. I kept on kicking her until her face was all bloody, and then T-Bird shot her. He shot her in the head and blood splashed all over my pants. My feet are cold. Can I have my boots? You'll be asleep in a minute, Tom Tom. Where's the ring? Like, you know what he means by that. The guy's dying. The ring. T-Bird always sold that stuff down on Grayoche. I don't know how they say that street. Gideon's Pawn. I'm cold. Can I go to sleep now? Sleep now. How wonderful is death? Death and his brother sleep. That's what Eric says when he walks out the door. So, like I said, like, you know, I just felt like I don't know. This he was saying like a lot more brutal stuff to them. We're hoping not. And you know, I hope they go with maybe one of me and Gaz's ideas, like a motion comic of this, and adding the soundtrack that James O'Barr actually helped with, animated series, maybe Netflix or whoever. Like Gaz was saying, it could be time for a new video game. You know, you can do other things. I mean, I don't think James O'Barr would write a sequel to this, like the Fight Club sequels, because this is so personal to him. But I mean, anyway, we all know Gideon's Pawn Shop, right? You guys have all seen the movie, so just give you an idea of how it looked in the thing. And then, I really like this frame of Crow smashing through the window. That's sick, guys. And Gideon, the Gideon casting was sick. That actor, it kind of looks like this guy.
This one is it's very, very street. It really is. I mean, the OG movies, even you could argue even that's dark enough for us, but this is way, so much darker, isn't it? But the vigilante aspect of this, of like the brutal kills and just him like having those one-liners, like it's almost like it's other than like Punisher. I'm trying to think of where else you've seen anything that hardcore. You know what I mean? Because it's pretty insane. So walking out, he, you know, runs into the cop, freeze. You know, that's the whole thing you guys saw in the movie. Actually, when he blew it up in the movie, he says like, "Is that gasoline I smell?" In here, he says kerosene. Obviously, a little bit more dated, and then he kind of has like a longer conversation with the officer. He doesn't do what Eric did in the movie, which I thought was absolutely nuts, Gaz, putting all the rings in the shotgun and then blowing up the pawn shop. Yeah. So that was in the movie, which was sick. Varum's right, doesn't he? In the book, just after he's taken out Jones, or some of the other guys, where he puts a shell in his hair, puts the actual shell in there to say first one down.
I think so.
I think it's Jones, maybe, possibly.
I'm fine with this chapter, Pixie. You can shoot Zodiac out of his fat mask.
Yeah.
It's a clown.
Time for this.
Punisher comes to mind. I mean, of course. Do you link up Punisher and Eric at some point?
Man, that would be.
I don't know if there'd be that you would open that book and it would just bleed all over your desk. You know what I mean? It would be absolutely.
Have Tony Montana narrating the introduction. Then don't there, just Tony Montana just narrates the opening. It's gotta be done.
Of course, Eric always has a sick jacket. Elegy, irony, and despair. If you see a guy walking around in an '80s haircut, just like hit the deck. Because your local pawn shop is about to. Oh man, this is a sick one, guys. Velocity. Whenever he does those buildings, those kind of tenement buildings, always look sick. Which one, Crow versus Zodiac, or it'd be funny if Zodiac killed Crow and then he got resurrected to kill Zodiac. That would be that would be a full circle moment. Here he's talking to Sherry. Let's see what else I can get for us. So this fun boy in bed with what's her name? That's pretty accurate scene to what you see in the film. For the most part, he does a little bit of different thing where Crow carves a crown of thorns into his chest, a la the Jesus allegory, and he goes along this big kind of biblical parable, which I actually really like that sequence, guys. I thought that's, again, a lot of this stuff that's unused, like me and guys are saying, like, it doesn't have to be never-ending remakes. It could be, let's take it another direction and get some of this source material, like Gaz said, in an animation or some sort of motion comic. You know what I mean? Lots of great shots of there's the the bullet rounds and the drugs on the table, the morphine.
Yeah.
And that's one thing James O'Barr. One thing I think that the film's totally missed is James O'Barr's close-ups of the rounds in the chambers, and then like the expended shells on the ground. Of course, he has them flying through the air during the shootouts. But that would be really cool to see, kind of like a slow-mo Matrix style, Max Payne bullet time with where you can read the back of the bullets and kind of see the shells falling on the ground. Like something that would probably suit animation really well. Here's a full spread, book 3, Irony. It's across both pages. So, yeah, if you haven't read this, guys, we highly recommend it, especially if you're a fan of the film. He's like he takes a whole bunch of guns at one point, so he's got like the shotguns and a lot of other stuff. He had the shotgun over his shoulder coming out of the pawn shop, but he got him like.
It was quite interesting in the book, the dialogue between the Crow and it's not Fun Boy, it's the guy. Yeah, it is Fun Boy. The guy who's like they're all junkies, but is the super junkie, I guess, out of them. Just before he takes out T-Bird and pretty much the rest of the gang. The conversation between Eric and Fun Boy is interesting because Fun Boy's blatantly, I know what I did was wrong. I know it was so bad. I know I'm rotten. I know I'm such a bad soul, but I'm not sorry for it either. I'm not going to deny this, but I'm not going to run from you either.
Story arc.
I know what's coming to me, and I know I'm guilty of that. So that was quite an interesting exchange between the two. Take care, Joe. See you Jay. See you next time.
Super heat. Yeah, no, that was a sick story arc for him. You know what I mean? And it was definitely an interesting actor who played him in the movie. Here's Immolation, a couple of different kind of half panels, or full. Actually, that's a full page on the right side. So the gin mill is the big. That's like the big bar. I think they're all hanging out at. And then this is kind of like when he, similar to that Top Dollar, that big fight sequence when he pulls out the katana blade in that huge fight. But as Gaz said, this is like the second or third time this happens in here. So definitely some crazy stuff of just some back and forth crap talking. He's kind of dual wielding and all that, which you saw Brandon do in the movie. A lot of what they think is going on is they think he's wearing a vest, because he's just taking all the chest shots. So they're like, a lot of what the thugs are saying is like, hit him with a headshot. Yeah. They eventually hit him with one. He bleeds out, but he doesn't go down. Yeah. It's like, what are we going to do here? Nothing's working.
And Eric landed on the car just after that, where T-Bird's making his escape, and there's the blood inside of the car, and T-Bird's trying to put his wipers on. I've got to get the blood off, and the Crow lands on the car, folks, and says to him,
well, he shot.
The blood's inside.
Yeah, he shot Shelby's head off. And then because he was nodding over from the drugs, and then he was like following in his lap, and because they're all cracked out on rocks, and he's like, man, I got to turn the wipers on, and Eric's right next to him going, the blood's inside. It's not on the outside of the. That was a sick one. The Atrocity, 1 year ago, the Atrocity exhibition. This is when he's. Right before that, he's doing some self-mutilation, lamenting the death of his despair. It's a full panel of them on the beach. Let's see what else we can find. The car chase is sick, guys. They kind of have that fine. Well, they finally do the flashback of what happened to Eric and Shelley. It's obviously a brutal scene. They shoot Eric in the back of the head so close that the muzzle blast like lights his hair on fire, and then he dies in the hospital. They both die in the hospital, but that's kind of juxtaposed with Eric chasing him down in the car for the final showdown, which is supposed to be like in the same road, the same spot where Eric and Shelley is killed. So that kind of differs. Obviously, there's not as much of an emphasis on that in the film. Obviously, in the film, there's that big showdown at the cathedral on the roof and stuff in the rain, crescendo death. So this is a background of like Eric when he's like walking around town helping the neighbor, like human Eric, if you will. So get to see some of that. But captures and see what Pixie came up with. And since we're all doing alternate theories, the Crow captures and kills Zodiac in 78, drags him to the police station, throws him on the ground, tosses his hood next to, looks at the camera and says it wasn't post. Sounds like a
remake, isn't it?
That sounds like an end credit scene or an alternate ending. But do you really picture the Crow dragging him to the police station? I feel like he's going to do something like he's definitely going to stab Zodiac to death, like a la Berryessa. He's going to kill him how he was doing other people. That's kind of Crow's thing. He's or by rope, by fire. Hang Zodiac and light him on fire. He's gonna get him bad. I'm onto the here. That's what's going on. Is kind of like one of the flashbacks, but then the old house there, a little bit similar to that old window from the film. Eric kind of sitting in the empty place. So, if you guys haven't seen it, haven't read it, definitely check it out. I mean, dude, Gabriel with all the guns, like AK-47s, and
it's pretty cool because Gabriel has some very nice facial expressions. Right in the scene I alluded to, where you discover that Gabriel is actually a she and is expecting kittens, and is handed to the cop who doesn't like cats, and who is that bit of humor because he's been given a note from the Crow who's like, oh, by the way, Gabriel's a she and expecting kittens in 5 or 6 weeks.
Oh my god, I've heard Schaefer talk about this, Tim, and he said it's like the most homoerotic film of all time, where it's just like jacked meathead dudes in a cabin, like lifting weights, like, and then some guy shows up supposed to be DB Cooper, but it's mostly just like ripped shirtless dudes the whole movie. You probably noticed some things about them, Pixie, but
from Pixie's collection then.
So I feel like this didn't really get used at all, guys, in the film. I really like this imagery of the magazines like taped to his chest, and then close up of the shells, like I was saying, the shotgun when he's loading the rounds. So that's really cool imagery there. That's something I would like to see used with kind of. That's obviously you can see he's gearing up to the big fight, and then obviously still has Gabriel with him, but Hammer Party. That's obviously him walking to the big final fight. Yeah. Place in flames behind him, but like, of course, he brought the cat with him. Bro, you're going to have a massive shootout. I mean, so book 5 is death, and I'm guessing you guys can see how it's going to turn out, especially if you've seen the movie. But yeah, exactly. Of course, might be up your alley. The rest of us, not. Hey, listen, Tim. Me and Gaz are massive Bigfoot guys. I'm all over Sasquatch, but I like my DB Cooper. I like my Bigfoot. I like to keep them separate. You know what I mean? Until we have any sort of evidence connecting the two, I can't just jump off that bridge. And we do have a guest. We're gonna reconfirm with working on the cryptid series, guys. So we'll try to get that locked too. So pretty soon we kind of get to the end fight here. He pulls up on this guy, Ugly Patrick, and then just says gravity there.
Oh,
and
dude,
a bit of the fight on this.
Wasn't it? What a way to close it out.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Grimy. I think he pulls out some blade there. I know he had that like that barber blade at one point. I can't remember if he diced anybody with it. See what I can find, you guys. Got the Lucky Strange cigarettes there. So when he gives is that Fun Boy, he gives the morphine gas. He makes him pretty much OD himself because he gives him like the easy death because he turned over the rest of the gang, which is different than he putting all the needles in him and making the Crow, which is what Draven in the movie did. You can see what Eric wrote in blood on the wall, which I think in the movie he drew a crow on the wall, right? He did something different in this. This is the biblical allegory. Stop me if you heard this one before. Jesus Christ walks into a bar, and then of course we're to the final fight. Basically, they try to get all the foot soldiers, and then they kind of have this epic kind of street war. This would have been nice to get this on film too, guys. I mean, I know you were talking about the way up to the the way up to the car chase. But there's actually a crazy gunfight here in the streets. This is when he puts the crown of thorns on his chest. I mean, that's like, again, him doing kind of like the arms spread out in front of all the dudes in the jacked up cars. And it's not death if you refuse it, attrition. So that's very reminiscent of that scene when he gets shot in the movie. But of course, this is the street fight, the gunfight. Eric just, I think it kind of looks grimier without the jacket, Gaz, because like then you see the wounds in his chest. You know what I mean? Which it's kind of, I think that would play better probably to animation. Again, it's back to the James O'Barr kind of biblical references, but looking down on the cross. That's out in the big fight there as well. So oh, you sewer rats are so faithful. You cause me to blush to my bones. You never stop dying for me. Like, that's everybody getting blown away. Just to give you guys a level of the ultra violence in here. It's pretty crazy. I'll interview you with your review. There you go. Pixie, you can have a little spin-off show. The Pixie Hour.
Talk about your current favorite movie, Zootopia 2 as well.
Yeah, there's like, there's all the dead bodies with the shells next to him. He's talking to this one dude. This one dude headshots him. The bullet goes right through his head. Walk away, mother effer, not a chance. Scared? And he goes, no. Eric goes, you should be. And smashes his face into the bricks and splatters it. Okay, so like it's just from everything from like the gun kills to the knife kills to the hand-to-hand kills to like, you know, whatever else he does in this, which is insane. I love this one, guys, when he has his foot on his shoulder.
Yeah,
see if it will focus for you guys.
Yeah,
he has his foot on his shoulder, and you can see the bullets flying through the dude's head. That's insane. That is insane. That is insane. Then it shows the dude fly back into the trash can after. Like freaking nuts, bro. Like just like how he like had the motion, you know, like that. Like imagine seeing that on a motion comic with the body sliding across the floor. Like get out of here, bro. With the soundtrack. And this is the Crow talking to him, kill them all, boy. So he's like, he kind of taunts him a little bit, like we were saying in the fights. And then pretty soon they get on to the car chase here. After that, there's kind of one of those like there's, you know, it comes back to the Sparkle Horse, and there's one of those kind of like purgatory sequences, which I guess you could say were in the remake, but just didn't work. Cadaver Exequis, I'm not quite sure what that says, but it's the skull cowboy there.
The interesting character. I would have liked to have seen a little bit of something.
Nice shot. It kind of gives you the Ghost Rider vibes or that dude from and then pretty soon it's kind of like you get to like these like kind of gothic kind of graveyard sequences, which you could say it's kind of like the end of the good movie, the 94 movie, Eric crawling back to the grave, and kind of wraps up there. But anyway, just because there's so much going on, guys, we want to just kind of cover this and just give you guys our aspect. Plus, it's been forever since we covered a graphic novel on the channel. But, you know, I think that's pretty much all the ideas I had, Gaz. Rating, I'm going to go ahead and give it a 10 out of 10. Anything else on your end, or anybody else have anything in the chat before we get out of here for the Crow graphic novel, James?
Well, I could be a complete fanboy nerd, but I won't do to save them the time and just kind of repeat our ongoing conversation. It's been forever about just said I wasn't going to do it, and I am.
Well, do something else with the IP, I'm guessing, is where you're going with it, other than
you know what we were saying, playing like the spiritual art, the mythology, the lore behind the Crow. I could go back thousands of years, as we were saying, linking with the Templars, everything. Something 100%. Like that would be pretty good. What I will say, I do highly recommend it. For if you're a fan of the Punisher comics, you'll definitely like this. Has that feel to it.
Even Deadpool, you know, he's got those kind of Deadpool-esque one-liners. I mean, I know Deadpool is a little corny, but Draven was the Deadpool before Deadpool. You know,
it's like when you pick up a Punisher comic, and usually within the first page or two, you can't put it down. You just read it until you're done.
Hell yeah,
This has that feel. It's nice to get the background on the actual movie, on the character of the Crow as well. So I appreciated it for that reason. It is actually a lot grimier than the original movie, which is saying something. It is an excellent read. It's got the romance in there. It's very well balanced. There's dark poetry. There's the tragedy really does form the story, especially when you know the real life background to this as well. Ross mentioned 100%. That earlier. So 10 out of 10. Great read. Very, very grimy. It would be nice. You know, people have been saying, right, will we get I think I'll say it like this: a good Crow movie, a new good Crow movie. Yeah. But maybe if they did, as you were saying, Ross, like an animated series on Netflix or something, you know, a good one, that probably would work if done right. I'd be open to a new idea in, you know, a different era or something, Ross.
100%.
But again, it's if they can do it right, not have something that looks like the Crow but isn't really.
Yeah, and in that case, you don't even want to use I know the big thing is like Lionsgate, like buying the rights and using the name. Yeah. In that case, you definitely don't want to do that. You know, 2037 with Rob Zombie, I'd be open to that. As Gaz said,
that would have been so sick. Yeah.
As Gaz said, I'd be cool with you know, either an animated series or if not an animated series, just a, you know, like a one-off, like special, you know, like hour kind of, you know, narrative. One thing I'd be cool with, Gaz, is this whole beginning fight where he pops up on Jones and he kills his way to top dollar. It's basically like, I don't know, what is this? It's like chapter 1 and 2, I think. Even if somewhere to do like a short either like a motion comic treatment of that or short treatment of that, because it's so different than what's in the Lee movie, I think you could probably get away with that. You know what I mean? I don't even know what's coming out next year, man. We have to think about that and meditate on that a little bit, because most of the stuff we've been looking forward to is well, obviously Heat 2 whenever it drops. I don't know that it will necessarily drop next year, but if they get it out, it'd be nice. What are they? Mad Max: The Wasteland. Whenever that drops, I know we're having some Warner Brother trouble. So I mean, we have stuff out there. That V for Vendetta series, whatever that is, I definitely want to see that. Yeah. The Dune Part 3, I think, is dropping, so put that on my list, please.
Yeah, that needs to get back on track a bit. So yeah, hopefully. What about this one, Ross? Here's a controversial one. This movie. So Tim, that's what you're looking forward to in 2026. UAP Disclosure.
It's not a film. Well, I guess there's the Age of, what was it? The Age of Disclosure. Is that one dropped? Of course, there's Siege of Ape Canyon is on YouTube. Go check that out. So I'm going to go out on the afterward, and then we'll talk about, you know, maybe what else we can get done. So there's a lot of like literature in here, guys, a lot of historical references. So this is the afterward, believe it or not. It gets into some heavy stuff, but it's very sick. Me and Gaz were talking about it earlier. For 100,000 years, the greatest of the gods was the crow, the dream carrier who brought civilization to the people in the Paleolithic times. Mammoth ivory carvings found over a vast area from Europe to the Near East depict a goddess with the raptor traits of a carrion bird, 3-finger talons, and a beaked face, a predator crow with breasts. About 10,000 years ago, when the goddess became a god, the same winged omnivore continued as chief deity almost everywhere. The archaic Greeks called him Kronos, literally the crow, the tireless traveler and hunger machine. The Romans renamed Saturn, god of time. The sun god Apollo, whose name means the destroyer, was another Greek avatar of the crow, as was the Norse king of the gods, Odin. To the Celts, as well as the Aboriginal American nations, this scavenger bird carried the cosmic significance of the great benefactor, the creator of the visible world. The Germanic and Siberian tribes similarly worship the crow as an oracular healer, and in China, the black-feathered predator was the first of the imperial emblems representing Yang, the sun, and the vitality of the emperor. During medieval times, the shadow of the sun was how European alchemists defined the crow, their symbol for the negrito, the blackness of despair and its poison cure. The unity latent in chaos. That unity is the crow's rapture, a life force so powerful it can actually live off death itself. That and its outer space color in broad daylight is what impressed the first people. The crow is the hunger of the sky. When it comes down, it eats everything, including the dead, and it rejects nothing. It is invulnerable. It is wider than time. It goes on a bit, another page and a half. One of Obar's friends wrote that afterwards. So definitely check it out, guys. 10 out of 10. I recommend special edition. Give it a check on.
Definitely special.
Give it a check on Amazon. There's also these quotes, guys. James O'Barr and the Crow paved the way for many of us in comics. Without the Crow, I'm convinced that independent comics would be a barren wasteland. That's Steve Niles, author of 30 Days of Night, which also became a film. You guys would be surprised with this last quote. O'Barr's intensity frightens me. Clive Barker. Creator of Hellraiser, author of The Hellbound Heart. O'Barr's intensity frightens me. I've never heard Clive Barker use the word frighten. If John Carpenter is not the king of horror, then Clive Barker is,
that is one compliment, isn't it?
Yeah, dude. James O'Barr is a writer and accomplished painter who resides in Texas. Visit www.jamesobar.typepad.com. And this was Simon & Schuster was my copy. So I'll check it out. I don't know if O'Barr still has that website up. Feel free to send him some fan mail. Pop over to Gazzy's channel. Give it a sub. We're back with next week with Heat, the legendary film noir crime epic. Al Pacino, Robert De Niro. Rest in peace to Val Kilmer. Rest in peace to Tom Sizemore. Danny Trejo. I mean, it's one of the most epic ensemble crime casts.
It is. I only have one issue with it, so there's a disclaimer alert. So Pixie, get ready to be mad. There's just one issue I have with it. I have mentioned it before. It's a scene with De Niro threatening a special forces guy. I'm like, dude, you're 3 foot tall and you're threatening a so supposedly special forces guy.
Unless he's an imposter.
Unless he isn't really a special forces guy at all. I haven't seen it for so long, so if the film kind of alludes to that, then
he's just a regular issue. Yeah, he's just a regular heister, like we were saying. But if you're a Sicilian guy like De Niro, Pacino, you can go around threatening anyone, right? I guess that's kind of the rule.
Yeah, the special forces guy's not going to do anything. It's just going to be go on.
Yes, us Sicilians, we can get really loud, so just be aware. You know what I mean? We will invoke our loud superpower on you if it comes to it. So, join us for Heat, and then final show of the year, guys. Good, Bad, and the Ugly, finishing the Dollars trilogy, the Man with No Name trilogy. Clint Eastwood, you should be happy, Pixie, because Clint is him. So that's it, guys. Go check out The Crow. Check out James O'Barr's website. Obviously, news coming up. The Crow's Days of Sodom dropping next year. Keep an eye out for my cameo. Have a little epic fight scene at the end there. So, got incredibly real. Pop over to the Patreon. You can join free with Gmail. There are some, protected posts from my longer in-depth analysis. Like, sub, share, click a join button for a membership. And then, I didn't mention, we are going to have the Zodiac Files live interview on December 20th, Lake Herman Road timeline. It's been a little while since we did Zodiac, so we'll be back on that. And then looking to get some Cooper stuff going with Nikki B. Maybe me and Gaz will take a look at that American Skyjacker documentary.
It's supposed to be pretty cool.
I'm in loose contact with Martin McNally. His story is actually way more insane than what happened to D.B. Cooper. So obviously D.B. Cooper played it cool and he got through everything and nobody knew he was heisting and then he just jumped out with the money. That's not how it went for Martin McNally. He was waving a submachine gun around, yelling in people's faces, and then some drunk guy at home saw it on the news and got pissed and couldn't take it anymore. So he drove his car onto the runway and tried to ram Martin McNally's hijacked plane. Wow. So that's how his heist went. And I think I want to say he got $500K, which is more than what Cooper got. And then McNally parachuted out. And then when he landed, a local cop picked him up. And he was like, he tried to quiz him, hey, do you know so-and-so? Does he have a son or a daughter? And McNally knew the guy was BSing. So he just went along. His heist story is crazy, guys. So hopefully down the line we can, get him on, maybe get a little interview going for the Cooper series.
Something good look out.
We'll check out. Yeah. There is a big podcast about his heist called American Skyjacker. I think it's 6 or 8 episodes. So check that out, guys, on podcasts. And the documentary is out. It's on YouTube. You can rent it. And then I believe Nikki said it was on Hulu. So I don't have Hulu, but we'll figure that out. Yeah. So next week, Heat. Then we'll give Gaz the 20th off. We'll do Lake Herman Road Timeline, and then Paradigm Review Show back. Last show of the year, 27th. Good, Bad, and the Ugly. Last episode of the Dollars Man with No Name trilogy.
I could always contribute to that episode of the Zodiac, even though I know nothing about true crime, and I could just say this, Ross, be the best contribution you've ever just said. Look, he was a very, very nasty man.
Yeah, the one thing about that comment is it's gonna give you difficulty with the Lake Herman Road timeline because there's 20 witnesses that drive by both ways, so it's a lot of minutia. But as much as we appreciate your commentary in the true crime,
it's excellent. I know it'll take to get over that. Get the Zero True Crime guy on. So what do you think?
Yeah, definitely, guys. What's your opinion? Lake Herman Road? What the hell's that? You know what I mean? It's
it's a road somewhere.
December 68. Yeah, it's a road in Northern California. Vallejo. All right, guys. I think that will do it. Go pick up The Crow graphic novel special edition. Shout out to James O'Barr.
Careful when you bend down. You don't want to frighten them again. I was getting scared myself there. We don't want Builders Volume 2.
Turned into a bit of a horror episode, and I don't even think we were doing horror on that one. So, like, share, click the join button for a membership, pop on over to the Patreon, and join for free with Gmail. And go get the hard copy. I guess there's a hard copy out with the soundtrack as well. Yeah. Fear and Bullets. Give that a listen on YouTube. It's really sick. Like Gaz brought up music earlier. If you're into that Crow 94 soundtrack, although it was 1994, it didn't have hip hop on it, which was a travesty. It was great for metal and punk rock. And then we're gonna go out on the note of what the hell was that remake soundtrack, man? There was that one band that was that pseudo neo rancid sound, Gaz. They tried to do a new school neo punk. The whole thing was crap.
Yeah, I remember it just wasn't there, was it? And we were being told it was going to be that grimy. And I remember when we heard it, we were both, "What the hell is this?"
It's like Stone Temple Pilots vanished off the face of the earth. Alice in Chains no longer existed. Dude, one thing I wanted to point out about that, guys. Go look up End of Days, which is probably a movie that me and Gaz are pretty into because of Arnold. Most people say that's not a great film. Go revisit that End of Days soundtrack, dude. There's Guns N' Roses on that in 1999. So just a movie that a lot of people said was mixed for Arnold, given he does these blockbusters. But that soundtrack blew away the Crow remake soundtrack. And then obviously, I think you're somewhat into it, Gaz. The Faculty. People say that's a fairly legendary soundtrack.
Yeah, but you could throw Judgment Day in there as well. Judgment Night soundtrack. That's got you've got a bit of your hip hop on there as well, so you could go with that, I guess.
Onyx and Biohazard,
yeah. And some people say that about Freddy versus Jason, I guess, for that soundtrack.
I don't know. I know Spawn. Spawn was new metal, hip hop, not new metal and techno. Yeah, Metallica and Orbital, so that was cool. They did the techno mixes of metal. But even The Faculty, the movie's not great, but it did have the last Lane Staley recording of Alice in Chains, which is a cover of what the hell is that song called? Bricks in the Wall, guys? Is that the Floyd song? Just some other notable things of people who said that wasn't a great movie, but the soundtrack was still way better than the Ho 2020 Bore remake. Anyway, you can go see our reaction to the trailer. You can go see our review of the movie, but you can watch our review of The Crow 94, which was good. And obviously, Days of Sodom will hopefully have some updates for you guys. If Cody posts something big on @WetPainPictures, go subscribe to them. I'll repost it over here. So
just real quick, and we go what we should look at, and I know people have mentioned this for us to actually put it on the PXF Classics. Isn't there some graphic novels of the Warriors? Sure there is. Perhaps we could look at them down the line.
Was Max saying there was a video game back in the day, but I don't
there was a PS. I think there was a PS2 game, but didn't someone... I'm going to quickly...
Or what, they just want us to put the Warriors on PXF Classics to review?
Yeah, but even if there's the graphic... If there is the graphic novels of them, I don't know if they're somewhat of a sequel or what.
Yeah, I don't recall that. But I love the movie. The movie is insane.
Hang on, what's this? I just have this recollection of somebody mentioning that.
They would try to remake the Warriors and it doesn't work, and guess what? It's just not going to work. Just give up. It's not going to work unless it's an animated thing that's retro. You know what I mean? I don't know if I can save it. Usually I try to argue my way out of these things.
Yeah. Anyway, everybody, have a good one. Thanks for coming through. Sorry for derailing the show a little there with memoirs of the butt, literally.
You're good. All right, guys. Yeah, like, sub, share. Click a join button for membership. You can always hit me up if you want to get credited for Zodiac Files Episode 5, the Lake Herman Road Ambush, and Episode 6, the Blue Rock Springs Attack. And yeah, no, I think Pixie, you're a Warriors purist, right? As am I. Yeah. So yeah, it's never.
Yeah, I will do some research and see if there actually is some of these the Warriors graphic novels, and if there is, we can take a look. If there isn't, well, okay, there isn't.
For sure, but yeah, we'll see about getting it on again. 2026. I mean, Gaz, when's the last time me and you talked about like, hey, this is going to be new, we should check this out? I mean, there is that Statham action movie I sent you guys. Oh, yeah, I want to ask you. You were saying The Last Samurai. You were saying that's good. That new series.
Oh yeah. I've only got one episode in. Yes, Last Samurai Standing. Yeah. Go check that.
Heard that's sick. I'm hearing good things. Yeah. All right. What tomorrow? This is my list. Can I go in theaters near you? Coming soon. All right. I'll give it a browse. Well, here's Lone Samurai. There's a shipwrecked 13th century samurai considers ritual suicide until captured by cannibals on a seemingly deserted island. His live to will awakens. Sounds like me and Gaz could get into that. So I'll add that to my list. I can see samurai killing cannibals. I can work with that.
The Odyssey could be okay.
Oh, I do want to see that. Me and Gaz are suckers for ancient epics, and I heard the way he shot that is crazy. Like it's like the first 100% IMAX camera. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm hearing his quality. People are saying that set was absolutely nuts. I mean, you can't really F with Nolan. Avatar Fire and Ash, aka Fire and Trash. We're going to let Gaz review that on his channel. Got him! I owed you one. You've been getting me with all this Zootopia crap lately. Looks like we have a vigilante, Gaz, the street Avenger. A girl loses her father to gang violence, seeking revenge. She becomes a vigilante fighting rival gangs while evading police. But reality proves unlike comic books, so that could maybe scratch our crow itch. Possibly. I mean, I'm grasping at straws, guys. I'm just whatever.
Werewolf in medieval Britain, a mysterious creature stalks the countryside. Oh, was that?
That's Robert Eggers. Oops. Robert Eggers. Yeah. I want to see that. That sounds dope. But he's the director of Nosferatu, guys. I don't know if you'll F with him, but yeah. But that one sounds way better. That one sounds way better, honestly.
Masters of the Universe, if it does drop.
They're trying to do that again?
Is that live action or animated, though?
Good question. But I do want to play that beat-em-up game. Also, guys, lock into twitch.tv. I'm going to be streaming Marvel Cosmic Invasion. I'm having a little hiccup right now, so Gazzy, you got to try a test, even if it's like a 2-minute test on your tube, and just see if you can still do it like how we were doing it before, because I think they might have shut me off, which means I need to get on that whack app. So it is what it is, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a way we can get you downgraded to the better version of that whack app.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the cast, folks, for this Masters of the Universe. It says Marina Bakir, and isn't she the one who played Deadpool's girlfriend in the movies and was in the V series reboot? Apparently, it's got Idris Elba listed as well. So I'm trying to see if this is live action or not. Marina Bakir and the Sorceress, Idris Elba, Man at Arms. Yeah, he'd be fire.
Yeah, honestly, in that second Suicide Squad.
Do you want to hear Skeletor?
Yeah, I do.
Jared Leto.
I don't mind him. I mean, people hate him. I mean, I don't think he's the worst.
But his movies just aren't that great, sadly.
Lately. But he's in Blade Runner 2. His resume is actually. But honestly, I didn't think Tron Ares was complete trash, like you were saying. It wasn't perfect. Yeah. It wasn't as good as it wasn't the best it could be. But the way they shot it, quality wise, was good. Soundtrack was banging. There were aspects about it that were good.
Mac's favorite franchise has got a new movie out next year as well. Do you want to hear for this?
Yeah, I'll do it because I'm going to tell him.
Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow.
I got him! Oh God, you better fight back on that, guys. I always hear about these Greenlands, guys. It's Gerard Butler, and it's like semi-post-apocalyptic.
Yeah.
Greenland 2, The Migration, January 9th. I didn't see Greenland 1, but I might check it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
28 years later, The Bone Temple, I'm going to be honest, that last 28 years was my very least favorite one. Like, I like the first two. They're dope, but that third one was mid.
Oh, I just saw Street Fighter listed. Oh, I forgot.
The Shining 45th anniversary opening December 12th. Let's go. I'll go watch it in the theater. There's Street Fighter. There's Mortal Kombat Poo. Are you going to go see Marty Supreme, guys? Did you and your boy go yet?
Marty Supreme. Remind me what's Marty Supreme. Do I want to know what Marty
He's a pro table tennis player. Ping pong. It's Tim Chalamet from a ping pong movie. So boring. So boring. Just shoot me. Shoot me now.
Ping pong Betty.
A pro ping pong movie. Okay. Crime 101, Chris Hemsworth, Mark Ruffalo, Barry Keoghan, and Halle Berry. I might take a look at it February. It looks like some sort of heist movie. So, yeah, I don't know, Tim. Honestly, the honest answer is we don't even know it's coming out. So we've been doing PXF classics and graphic novels. It's just
there's another Resident Evil movie that's going to be butchered again.
I mean, I would love them to get it right. Oh, I was hearing something that, like, that director is going to try to make it faithful to one and make it like a way more like Resident Evil, like, you know, like kind of like mood movie.
It's got Pixie's favorite. Is this a remake or they're doing a sequel? And I mean, it shouldn't be happening, but I'm looking at here now, bro. Cliffhanger. I don't know if it's a sequel.
Yeah, I heard about that. Okay, so I think it's a semi-sequel, but I don't think Sly's doing it unless you see Sly's name on it.
No, I don't. I'm sorry. I've just saw something and I will go absolutely crazy if they mess
Demolition Man 2.
I was just like, oh man, Evil Dead Burn. Oh,
so, okay, here's
last crash.
I didn't watch any of those remakes except for the very first one, which I thought was, but I love the originals, but the last article, so to speak, the last article I saw on Facebook, guys, said that Bruce wants to cameo in Burn as Ash, and then people are playing it up now that it's going to be more than just a cameo. I don't know, guys. Don't quote me on this. This is just a Facebook article. So I don't know what that means. I mean, me and Gaz are like, you know, Evil Dead Ash fanboys. Yeah. So I don't know. If he cameos, I might have to watch that one, but I'm sure it will probably just be like all the other ones, which is not good.
Yeah, there's some things here which I'm curious about, and then there's a lot of but as well. I mean, there's more Avengers movies coming. Yeah,
I'm good on those. Okay, I got a couple things. The Punisher special presentation, the John Bernthal solo Punisher, that's going to be dropping around the new Spider-Man movie, and because Punisher's also going to be in the Spider-Man movie, that's going to be on the summer. I think July is the Spider-Man release. So hopefully the Punisher solo drops before that. So, I mean, you guys wanted Punisher, so he's coming back. And then also on Evil Dead Burn, where's that animation? They mentioned multiple articles now that they're going to have that whole season of an Evil Dead animation with Bruce's voice as Ash, and it's supposed to be Evil Dead Apocalypse, right? So where's that at, dude? That would blow Evil Dead Burn away. You know, nobody's going to watch Evil Dead Burn after that drops.
Here's one Emperor.
Ricky wants to vote for Ricky in the chat. Do you guys want Crypt Rick on the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly review with us?
Oh, just come on with us, man. Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I'm waiting for, Tim. Evil Dead Apocalypse and Dune 3 and Punisher. Because there ain't much. We're mostly playing retro shooters right now, like Blood Refresh Supply and Marvel Cosmic Invasion and that new Starship Troopers. What's it called? Ultimate Bug War, guys.
Oh, that looks good.
We'll be on that. All right, you're in, Rick. But it's in 2 weeks, so be ready, bud. Well, not 2 weeks, like 3 weeks after next show. All right, guys, that was fun, Outro. Like, sub, share, click the join button for a membership. Get your donations in to episode 5 and 6 of the Zodiac Files. I'll be doing the Lake Herman Road timeline after the Heat show, and then Good, the Bad, and the Ugly with Rick will be the last show of the year. Then there's personal stuff going on, guys. We're probably going to need at least a month and a half break at the beginning of next year while we get the schedule ready for the year. So
although it's not just, hey, we're going to do this as we go along. What you're doing, not sure, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Ross, what are you watching next year? I do a review show. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I can dig into the graphic novels all night long. You know what I mean? But this, so pop over to the Patreon. You can join it free with the Gmail. And then, like we said, good, the bad, and the ugly, and then just give us some time. We'll be getting stuff ready, and then hopefully I'll be working on Z-Files and stuff. And, if anything comes up that's absolutely epic, in the meantime, follow on twitch.tv, Planet X Games. And if we can get Gaz back in his bag, he'll probably be doing some beat-em-ups and ninja streams on Mosh Shinobi. So that's that, y'all. Yes, y'all. X going to give it to you. The X Crow movie. I want my wish list. The Crow 2037 with Rob Zombie directing. I'm an easy guy to please. Peace, guys. Paradigm Review Show. Tune in next week. Heat, the most epic crime noir of all time, and Heat 2. I mean, if they're going to get it out next week, next year. I'm not complaining. So as long as it has DiCaprio, McConaughey. A bunch of legendary actors. So that's out. Shout out to everybody who came through. Fire Pixie, Crypt, Jay, Tim, and Slippy. Everybody who rocked with us.